Hey, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. BeatsToRapOn podcast. We got Clair Du-Berry here. Super awesome opportunity to get him on all across Australia, all across Europe, and all across London. Yeah, so we are super pumped to have him on today. So, Sinclair, like maybe, just for the viewers and the listeners, just to kick off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So a little bit about me. My full name is St. Clair Du-Berry Jr. That's just a little, fun fact in itself. There's a
Wow,
lot of, yeah,
that's
history
cool.
behind that, you know what I'm saying, in itself. But yeah,
That's cool.
basically, yeah, for sure, for sure. But basically I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, specifically the Morrow, Georgia area, which is like a small little black suburban town in like the metro Atlanta area, and I started out really in the church, you know what I'm saying? That's where like my journey with music and everything started, was in the church, you know. My mother and father, they pastored. Well, my mother was pastor, my dad was bishop of a church in Atlanta, you know what I'm saying, for a little while. And like, when I was in the I would like sing in the choir, you know what I'm saying, just as like, the thing that I did, to participate in, volunteer for the church and stuff like that. And a lot of the congregation members would call me like the loudest voice in the choir and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying. That was kind of like my nickname, like the loudest voice in the choir and stuff, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that's kind of my start, you know what I'm saying, like more or less.
That's great. Let's unpack that name a bit. That is a pretty wicked name. Um, Tell us how you came up with that name.
So yeah, so my first name is, since I'm a junior, obviously that's my father's name. I'm a second, and the Sorgab Adir is actually Hebrew. Sorgab means strong tower, and Adir means noble one. And Du-Berry is, there's some history behind Du-Berry. I'm not completely sure, with that, that was just, my father's last name. Oh yeah, another fun fact. My pops is actually from the UK. He's from Kensal
Oh,
Green, I believe,
there we
England.
go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the whole Europe thing. So, we're dealing with linking up, you know what I'm saying? The whole Europe vibe, Black British. For
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
for
No,
sure.
very good, very good. What about the saint in your name? Like how did that come about? Why'd you keep it?
Um, Well, not only did I just keep that as my artist name because, you know, I just felt like it or something like that, or it's just a part of my first name. I kept it because, it just represents what I try to represent a lot. You know what I'm saying? And, sometimes I'm a walking contradiction. Sometimes I sin and shit just like everybody else. I sin just now. I just said a curse word, but, you know, but let's just say for the most part, I try to keep it positive, and with my music,
Yeah,
I try to keep
yeah.
things, at the very least, offer people perspective. And I guess you could say, yeah, just offer people perspective on different topics and subject matter, from marriage to, you know, productivity, like work, you know what I'm saying? How to,
Yeah, love that. Totally love that, man. So let's go all the way back. Let's get the listeners, understanding who you are, where it all started. Take us all the way back to when you were just a wee little fella, and you started getting into it.
First of all, I just want to comment on how you said "wee little fella." That was pretty dope. I like the whole English, like the "wee little fella." I like that. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. But yeah, I just think that's cool. You know what I'm saying? The whole UK vibe. But yeah,
It's all good.
basic. Yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, basically, like I said, I just started out really in the church first, and then I made a switch to musical theater. So I'll backtrack a little bit. Basically, I did my first show when I was like around 11, 12 years old,
Wow.
and
Okay.
yeah, I was really, to be honest with you, like during my first show at that age, I was like, I grew up real timid, shy, per se. Yeah, I was a shy guy, no Super Mario reference, but, shy guy. And, yeah, basically that's how I started out. And like, my father, he heard a radio ad for a local play. Like this is back when I was living in Orlando. After I moved out of Atlanta, me and my parents moved to Orlando, Florida, and there was a radio ad for a play that they were or a show that they were putting on. And they were like having like a local audition and stuff like that. And it wasn't my idea. It was actually my dad's idea. He said, "Yeah, why don't you try out for it?" He like, he was very bold about things, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, really, me? I should try out for that? And I said, okay, I guess, you know what I'm saying? So basically, to make a long story a little bit shorter, I just did it. I tried out for the play, and I got one of the major roles in the play. The play, by the way, is The Wiz, which is basically like the urban black version of The Wizard of Oz, as you probably already know. But yeah, they casted me as the wizard for the play because they wanted to do a little bit of an alternative spin on it, and have because in the movie version they had Richard Pryor play as the wizard. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to cast somebody so that somebody being like older. They wanted to cast somebody like young because I was like, like I said, around 11, 12 at the time. So they wanted to cast somebody young, so it could be like kind of like an ironic thing. They expect somebody like big and bad to come out and you see this like little kid coming out and shit like that, like to put a different, you know what I'm saying, put a little spin on it and everything. So yeah, I got casted
It's
for it,
good.
and yeah, and it was something else because I was like the first because it was a weekend show. It was like over the course of obviously the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And another thing, fun fact, it was actually my birthday weekend that we had this
Oh,
show.
shit.
That Saturday was my birthday. I turned 12 years old. And yeah, anyway, back to my story. I was like beyond like I had the butterflies, nervous, you know what I'm saying? Like I gotta remember all these lines, and you know what I'm saying, sing and dance and do all this shit. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, when I got out there, it's like it was almost like for lack of better words, like a Beyonce, Sasha Fierce type moment. You know what I'm saying? It's like you just turn into like this different person. I just turned like this different person. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And yeah, it was basically from that point on is when I got like the creative bug. Like I just like to be creative, and do, creative shit and everything like that. So basically from there, um I started doing like, local plays and stuff like that around the Orlando area. And after that is when basically this is where my mother comes into play. She had taken me to this I guess you say, yeah, it was like an audition for a workshop for acting. And they were like basically looking for people like to train, like, in film and like television and stuff like that. And one of the well, it was managers, one of the managers there, she I didn't know she was a manager at the time. Obviously I was going into audition and like train and stuff like that. But basically we did a side, which is in acting, like just like a snippet of like a commercial or like a commercial side. And they test your voice, see if you like have any musical talent to sing or whatever and stuff like that. So basically I went in there and auditioned and stuff like that, and from there, um her name is Nita Brochu. She had casted, not casted me, but she basically had signed me to her management company from there to move out to LA. So from there we basically moved. You know what I'm saying? At that point it's like, you get a shot to like, do what you love to do. You know what I'm saying? We just decided to eventually move out there and stuff like that. And she was my manager for a little while. And another fun fact, Nita Brochu is actually Doug Brochu's mother, because I was auditioning for Disney, Nickelodeon television
Oh,
pilots while
wow.
I was out there.
That's
So,
crazy.
like Doug Brochu, he was on I forgot what show he was on, but he was on one of those Disney shows, but his mother was managing me. And from there I basically, went on a lot of auditions and stuff like that out in the LA area. And from there, I did a couple of things, like some work and stuff like that. A couple of commercials. I did for like a lot of Disney, like Alien Ant Farm, or Ant Farm was one of the shows. It was like
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was
yeah,
huge. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had auditioned for that. I was one of the like the first. I forget what role it was. My memory ain't the best. But auditioned for I think like the black kid on there. I was one of the I was auditioning for one of the main roles for that. And there was a couple a couple of Nickelodeon shows I was auditioning for and stuff like that, Disney stuff. Because I was 18 to play younger, which basically in the industry, which you probably might already know, means that like you're over the age of 18, so you
Yeah,
get all of the work. You can get to do like all of the work stuff that, kids can't do like under the age of 18. Like you could
yeah,
stay past like midnight, stuff like that. You're able to work, on the set like past a certain time, but you look younger than 18. So you're playing, kids roles. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like I said, I did a couple of things out there. I was, I don't know if you heard of a movie called Earth to Echo. It came out in like 2014. um, I was uh I was a stand-in photo double for Brian Astro Bradley. He was on the X Factor.
Right.
You might Yeah, 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 yeah. He
Yeah,
was on the X Factor. And yeah, I was his stand-in photo double for that because like I said, we were 18 to play younger. So, and the stand-in photo doubles are basically like the understudies for like understudies in theater are pretty much what stand-in photo doubles are for the movies. But like we're not in the movies. Like we're basically considered crew. You know what I'm saying? So we're there to basically like be like the models. We run lines. You know what I'm saying? We shoot the scenes, but we're just like not technically in the movie. Like they'll have certain scenes like where maybe they'll use our hands or like certain parts of our body and stuff like that. But technically we're not in the movie. But it's good. It's a good place to start. You know what I'm saying? For people trying to break into the industry and stuff like that. So I did that. I was on Disney XD's triathlon event, which it's spelled like, instead of TRI, it's spelled TRY, like try, like you try your best, you know what I'm saying? Kid stuff, kid type shit. But yeah, I
yeah.
did that. And I met Kevin Love from the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't know if he's still on that team, but he was basically on our team on the triathlon event. So it was me,
Yeah, right.
um, Kevin Love as like the sports, professional sports player who's on there, and what's his name? I think his name is Doc Shaw, but he was on one of the Disney XD shows. I forgot what show it was. I think it was King something. Like I said, my memory is terrible sometimes, bro. But but yeah, basically he's on one of Disney XD shows. And who else was on there? Tyler James Williams. Everybody Hates Chris.
Yeah, maybe you can just unpack that, yeah, for the listeners who may not have heard of it.
Yeah, yeah. So Chris Rock, the famous comedian or whatever. Basically, that was a show about Chris Rock's life when he was growing up. It was a more like an urban show, like like a black show and everything like that. But his Tyler James Williams' brother, younger brother, I think his name is Terrell Williams. He was one of the hosts on the triathlon event. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It was on obviously on
Yeah,
TV.
for those
You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, for those looking that up, it's, TRY-athlon. You can check it out all over YouTube. You can type in Kevin Love triathlon, or you can type in, all the other folks that been mentioning. Go check it out. It's actually pretty good. Um,
yes sir, yes sir, yes
yeah,
sir.
nice
Oh, so
one.
you seen
That's
it? You seen it already?
yeah.
Oh, word. Okay.
Well, no, I was just looking it up now, just like checking it out, and
No, you can be
yeah, just
honest.
like for all the
I was just
listeners and
curious.
viewers.
For sure, for sure.
No,
Yeah.
no, I was just looking it up now. Yeah, yeah. And, just for all the listeners and things like that, yeah, you can just jump onto YouTube and check that out. That's really interesting. So when you were like little, wee fella back then, when you were kind of growing up, getting a little bit bigger, um, and then, you left Atlanta and you moved to LA, right? You're now based there. I guess, what did your early church community music experiences, teach you about performance and arrangement?
That's a good question. Um, so I would say that early church experience has it really shaped like I guess you could say the moral dynamic of her, like the lyrical dynamic it definitely shaped the lyrical dynamic. I definitely say that of my music. There's always something you could find in my records or my sound that's gonna be related. Something that's got to do like with the metaphysics of like life or like some type of spirituality at the very least. But there's always gonna be like little, you know, little, sometimes big things, sometimes little things, but there's always going to be something in there that's going to represent like God or Christ or, some type of like virtue or being moral in some type of way. You know what I'm saying? Or at least at the very most, I try to keep it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm still working on the expletives and stuff like that, the cursing and all that. But it's rap. You know what I'm saying? It's music. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, the very least, I try to keep it perspective. Offer perspective. It's not. Excuse me. It's not just gonna be like you know. I'm gonna shoot you. You know what I'm saying? Or because I'm just gonna be honest. Like a lot of rap music, not all. You know what I'm saying? But I say like a lot of mainstream rap and hip hop music, like kind of promotes, um, that kind of lifestyle, like street life and stuff like that. A lot of people kind of compare me to like a younger Kanye West, like when he first started out, and he's one of my biggest
Nice.
inspirations, because
Mm,
he brought something completely different to the genre because I always listen to hip hop. Like I think my first hip hop artist that I ever listened to was Lil Wayne. His the Carter 3 album. I remember hearing a Millie for the first time, like, oh man, this shit is fucking fire. Like this shit is dope. I remember back when we had like the Walkmans and the fucking MP3 players and shit.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I remember that shit. Yeah, 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 yeah. I had the fucking
tape decks,
yeah, yeah, for
ghetto
sure, for
blasters.
sure. Yeah, yeah, the tape decks, the fucking little boom boxes and shit like that. Yeah, the CDs and shit,
Yeah.
VHS,
Yeah,
all that
that's
shit.
it.
Yeah,
You walk around with it like this, like
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 all that shit.
Yeah,
But
yeah. That's it.
for sure, for sure. But yeah, that was pretty much my thing. You know what I'm saying? I grew up on a lot of like old school like R&B. Like Michael Jackson or pop, so like Michael Jackson, you know what I'm saying? Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross, who else? Stevie Wonder, you know what I'm saying? But as far as rap and hip hop, I say like probably my two biggest, two or three or four. I got a lot, but I probably say Lil Wayne, Kanye West, Pharrell, and Kid Cudi. Those are like my childhood. I remember like the Kanye West graduation album was like it's probably like my most listened to song. I mean, most listened to album ever. Like I probably rap like every track like word for word, like maybe not, maybe miss a couple of words, fumble over a couple of words, but for the most part, like that was my album, that was my go to. Cause I feel like what he represented, though. Like people say, oh, it's
That's
like just
awesome.
yeah, like just backpack rap, and shit like that. But I saw it as like more than that, I like this
Yep.
dude is dope, you know.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure, for
totally
sure.
different. And so yeah, that was interesting growing up and hearing your journey and how it influenced you in terms of your in arrangement with respect to, the church and community and so if you kind of think about that and you bake that into also you moving cities, how did, each city, I guess, shape your sound and hustle?
Oh, that's another good question. I say okay. So to go back to my roots in Atlanta, um, my parents' church, like where they got ordained at, is Philadelphia, Church of God in Christ, ICOGIC, Church of God in Christ. They're a non-denominational church, and I have to shout them out. Like I have to. They I can't say everything, but they brought me through a lot of difficult times, you know. Cause I'm just gonna be honest with you, my mother and father are no longer with this earth. They passed on,
Oh, I'm sorry to
you
hear
know what
that.
I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. But I say that's what probably one of my biggest hurdles that I had to jump. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, in my own ways, I'm still slowly but surely coming out of that because it's not like it was, well, my dad was like years ago. He passed away in 2009 when I was a teenager. But my mother, she passed away more recently. She passed away in October of 2022. So, that was more recent. Like, during the height of COVID around then, now she didn't pass from COVID, but you know, she had passed and everything. And that was one of like I'd say like the rockiest periods of my life. But to keep it on a positive note, it really shaped me, not just musically, but like, morally, you know what I'm saying? Like it gave me more strength, in a lot of different circumstances and situations. It taught me how to overcome a lot more things, because obviously for anybody, like I said, it's not just about me, it's for anybody, you know what I'm saying, that has to has lost a loved one. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that I'll tell anybody out there, just hear these words that, in order to overcome, you have to choose life. You know what I'm saying? You have to choose, actively choose. You know what I'm saying? Don't just like go through the motions of, oh, just take it one day at a time, like, or, blah blah this and that, go to work, this and that, or go through the motions, so to speak. You have to actively choose in your mind, like, to live. You know what I'm saying? There was this interview, or not interview, it was like some type of motivational speech I saw, and that it kind of like stuck out in my brain. He said, in order for you to get anything done, you have to literally put in your mind, do it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, do it
Yeah.
now.
That's right.
You like
That's
literally
right.
like that,
Do it
like
now.
it's just it's
Yeah.
simple, rudimentary. You know what I'm saying? But I thought about it, and I'm like, man, like ever since I heard him say those words, it's like when I don't feel like doing something, or I feel like procrastinating, or just not necessarily getting something done at that current point in time, I literally just tell myself, do it now, and like it motivates me to just do it. Like I feel like that's the power of manifestation. It's like literally if you tell yourself to do something, or if you tell yourself it's gonna be okay, that you're gonna make it, that I need to do it now, then it's gonna happen. You're gonna do it. You're gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I do it tomorrow when it can be done today, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely, and that would have had, because you've done a few releases, from what we can see from 2021 to 22, for example, The Idea, Nostalgia Ultimate, also released, All You Tease, Cherry Blossom Serenade, and when you were creating these cuts like The Master, Brighter Day, Serious, and things like that. You must have been honestly like going through emotional hell at that point through all this kind of stuff. How much did all of, the emotion and everything that was going on in your life influence some of those cuts that you put out?
Man, I'll tell you what, like you brought up something interesting I wanted to say. When I made my song Vitamin B12 for my album The Glitch, it was first a single. It was just a single. I made it when I was out in Las Vegas when I started pursuing music professionally. And it was originally a song about my dad. Because in the first verse, I say, just don't go away. I need you every day. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And it was really a song about my father, because this was back when my mother was still alive. But when I had moved from Las Vegas back to Atlanta was during the period of time when my mother had passed. So it's weird how like, and keep in mind, this was the last song I recorded before she passed away, and she was on that song, you know.
Oh, wow. That's
So
intense.
it's like when she passed, and I listened to the song, I wouldn't say I would use the T word trigger, but like it brings back like all of the times,
I use the
like
T
her.
word.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, that's a
yeah,
big trigger.
yeah, trigger,
Like,
trigger. Yeah, I
just
guess you
call
could
it
say
as it
that.
is.
Yeah, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, it trigger anyone.
yeah, trigger, trigger. Yeah, for real. Yeah, but what you call it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like I wouldn't just say like it was just that. I would say like it brings back like life lessons, that she taught me. Because when I
Mm.
recorded it, there was a certain way that like I kind of wanted her like to have it recorded on that last verse. Yeah, I guess you could call it like last verse or the last part, like during the bridge or whatever. And it's almost like, when I go back and listen to it, it's almost like she's teaching me through through the sonic experience, or like through the track. You know what I'm saying? It's like going back and hearing,
Yeah.
what she had to say, while she was still present, like, here, like on the planet and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how else I could describe it. It's just like, it's like going back and listening to like an old voicemail or something like that, of like people who are or somebody that's like, passed away. Cause like I don't personally have any like the voicemails of her, from, you know, before she had passed and stuff like that. But some of my family members and some of my mama's friends, they would tell me like, oh, I would go back and listen to some of her voicemails and stuff like that, and it would bring me to tears and everything. It was almost like that. Like for me, that song for me is like a memoir, almost like a time capsule, so I was trying to like push that song like a whole lot well, after everything had happened, like after it came out and stuff like that. So now it's a song about both of them instead of just, my dad. And that's, something to throw out there.
That is
Yeah.
some forking deep, really, and sorry to use the cuss word, listeners, but that is some super, yeah, just deep stuff, very nostalgic.
Appreciate it.
Right
Appreciate it.
there, a lot of sonic sampling just
Yeah, for
coming
sure.
through to create this nostalgia, within this sound. That's amazing. And then tell us a little bit about Cherry Blossom Serenade. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Cherry Blossom Serenade. Let me go back a little bit. Let me think. Cherry Blossom Serenade. That's about a couple of
So did
things.
that
Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry, I was just gonna say, did that evolve into a larger body of work? Or yeah, unpack that a little bit more.
Yeah, so Vitamin B12, the Cherry Blossom Serenade, Rain, and all of the tracks that weren't released as singles came out on my album The Glitch. And that was another one of my favorite albums to make. That album pretty much was everything that culminated after my mother passed away. You know what I'm saying? As I explained earlier about like with vitamin B12 and everything. But yeah, that pretty much was a culmination of, the tumultuous time I had after my mother had passed away, because that'd be, a major life change for anybody. Like I said, it ain't just me thing, it's anybody. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Cherry Blossom Serenade, that's about like a couple of things, I kind of like discuss like, in the first verse, I discuss like death and street life and what it could do to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I said like a mother cries to herself on the side of the street, another horrific defeat. He stepped on his life like a soccer ball cleat. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of like discuss
Mm.
like that, like especially like in like the black community and stuff like that, where street life can eventually lead you to. Uh, it's also about like romance to a certain extent. I said that like a question. Yeah, it is about like romance. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Yeah, I said, I don't
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
about romance, maybe.
I
I don't
was like,
know.
yeah, I was like, I'm not sure I can answer that question.
Right, right, right. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah.
Type deal. But yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
was about romance and basically about because in the intro I'd say about the counterfeit has to come before the authentic arises, and I'm basically talking about like romance in a sense to where sometimes you have to go through like a bad relationship or a toxic relationship before you can meet the partner that's actually meant for you. Know what I'm saying? Or to find out where you are so you'll be ready for the partner that's actually meant for you. So that's mainly where I'm getting at with that, and like, with love and like basically like love and death. I know that like on a polar like spectrum, it's a spectrum, but like, I guess you could say they're kind of relating. a sense, I guess, you know?
That is awesome. So fast forward a little bit from The Glitch to I'll Live Forever. It's just popping. It's all over the place. There is hype. I want people in Australia, Europe, all over Europe, London, to understand what this is all about and where the hell they can listen to this good stuff. Drop it for us.
Yeah, so basically, "I'll Live Forever" is, it's a single, that's actually on my newest album, Sermons. But yeah, it's one of my newest singles. You know what I'm saying? That song is like, you know, I don't know what was running through my mind when I made that. It's like, I just wanted to make something really experimental. I guess that was, yeah, what was running through my mind, something experimental, you know. As far as I really wanted to focus more on the production rather than like the vocals as much, just
Yeah.
really on like, the drum kits, you know what I'm saying, that I used, and the sampling on it. The sample on there, if you heard the song, the sample on there is actually from this Grammy award winning artist. I cannot talk today. Grammy award winning artist, RAYE. I think it was like last year's Grammy or something like that. She had won or something like that. But yeah, basically that was the first time I heard about it when I watched the Grammys, and I was like, I want to, try and sample one of her tracks because I was listening to some of her music, and I was like, I really her sound, her production, her vocals, like everything is kind of cool. And I think she's a UK artist actually, if I'm correct. I think she's from the UK. But anyway, yeah, it was one of her songs that I had sampled on there. I used that sample and basically my own, like I said, my own drum kits and stuff like that. Because you hear in a certain part in the song when she's saying sniffing, sniffing, coke, 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 sniffing, sniffing, coke, 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 coke. That's
Yeah.
her voice. You know what I'm saying on there. But it's basically the track goes like girls on the back and front seat, on the back seat sniffing cocaine, something like that. On the back from the back seat sniffing cocaine. But I just kind of like flipped the
Yeah.
sample and like I just made it into like sniffing, sniffing, coke, 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 coke. To make it like a little bit more rhythmic. You
Nice.
know what I'm saying? Than melodic. But yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
tell us a little bit about so that's Ray, by the way, RAYE, just for those, yeah, who wanna check out that, definitely, go straight where can they wait, before we go, where can we find all these awesome tunes? Tell us a little bit more about Sermons and how that all came about, like, where'd you come up with the name? And, let's talk about a couple of more tunes on that track sorry, on that, album.
Yeah, so basically Sermon is my newest album. It's a 20-track album. 25 songs, you know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, it's just an album. Basically, I got inspiration from it from reading the Sermon on the Mount, three chapters in the Bible. It's Matthew chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7, where basically it's one of the most quoted scriptures in the Bible, and it basically has the Lord's Prayer in there. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. You know what I'm saying? And what else? Yeah, basically that was when like Jesus like major sermon like on the mountaintop where he was given like, his doing his thing or whatever. And the golden rule comes to mind because it's mentioned in that passage too about do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And really, I feel like that's like about taking accountability, because it's like, treat others the way you want to be treated, essentially, and
Nice.
that's kind of like
Yeah.
the main theme behind the album because you have there's a lot of good songs on there. I think it's one of my favorite albums so far. I got Breakthrough, well, Swift and Easily Changeable, Breakthrough, super powered, what else? Romance Scam. And Swift and Easily Changeable is actually something my uncle used to say before he had passed away. Know what I'm saying? He used
Oh,
to
okay.
always say you gotta like get you gotta watch people swift and easily changeable. You know what I'm saying? I don't know his accent very
That's
well,
cool.
the way he talks very well, but yeah.
Uh,
But I just thought about him when
yeah,
I when
that's
I made
cool.
that appreciate that. But I just thought about him when I made that song, you know what I'm saying? It just kind of it starts off the album, you know, because basically I thought that would be a good way to start the album because it
Mm,
just like really represents what the album is about, kind of like accountability, you know, and
love that. Yeah.
all of those types of things, you know. And
It's also got a
mo-
lot of meaning, right, as well,
what was that you said?
Yeah, it's got a lot of family. I was just gonna say, like, I love that. It's also got a lot of meaning to it, like, when you hear that play, it also bring that little bit of nostalgia back and things like that, and it's just got a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
meaning
yeah,
and depth to it. I love that.
for sure.
So where can all the viewers and listeners start listening to. So, obviously, what we'll do, and just all the listeners, we'll create his profile on BeatsToRapOn platform, full profile. You'll see all of photos of who he is, links to some of his YouTubes, all links to all of his digital streaming platforms and everything like that. Is there anywhere in particular you might want to send the listeners to, or anything like that?
Everywhere, everywhere is saying that. No, just play. But
Everywhere, baby.
right, right. That actually used to be my location on a SoundCloud. I just put everywhere United States. I don't know, that's kind of contradictory, but I had to put United States on there, so I just put everywhere United States, you know. But now it's Atlanta, Georgia, because you know you gotta have direct location and stuff like that. But yeah, they could come find me on Spotify, on obviously all the music streaming platforms. You know what I'm saying? Follow me on Instagram at Saint Dub. That's SAINT, like Saint John, Saint Paul, but just Saint DUB Dub, like riding on dubs. I'm mainly active on there a whole lot. Where else? YouTube at Sainty Boy, SoundCloud at Sainty Boy. Yeah, I'm around. Come
Yeah,
find me.
love all that. So, and again, just for the listeners, all of these links will be in the podcast, and you can find this podcast on any of the major platforms as well. And all of the links will be in the podcast description. Plus, all of the links will be on his profile on the Beats to Rap on platform, and he'll be appearing on the homepage as well as a featured artist and creator. Anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap this one up? It's been super exciting. Thanks so much.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you having me on. Like, it really is a pleasure. Thank you so much. Before I go, I just like to say, love yourself like God loves you, and that's pretty much
Love
it.
love that.
Pretty much it.
I love that. It's such a simple statement, but it's got so much deep power and meaning
Amen,
around it.
man.
Thanks very much, and we'll catch you on the next one. Ciao for now.